What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Sargeist, entitled Feeding the Crawling Shadows. This is released on World Terror Committee. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Finland, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very raw, filthy, nihilistic, satanic style of black metal. I mean, there are lots and lots of amazing bands to come out of the Finnish black metal scene, and Sargeist being one of them. I mean, even the bands that have ties to Sargeists and all around each other, like Horna and Behexen, just create some incredible music. And the whole Finnish metal scene is amazing. Even the death metal and black metal bands to come out of it, it's just incredible. Sargeist has really made a name for themselves and become very well established. A slew of splits, demos, EP releases, and 4 full-length albums, including the one that I'm about to mention momentarily. The one album that comes to mind for me more than anything about Sargeist is their third album, 2010's Let the Devil In. That really was this band's masterwork, in my opinion. I thought Let the Devil In was just an incredible, fuming, evil piece of Finnish black metal. Just showed you why Sargeist are as well respected and known as they are. They really do know how to make authentic, real, and raw black metal. Now, 4 years have passed since then, and we have the fourth full-length from Sargeist entitled Feeding the Crawling Shadows. It's 10 tracks, and it clocks in at around 48 minutes in length. And for an album that has a length of this time, it sure does fly by at a very reasonable pace. Every single song has a good balanced pace to it, and everything moves along quite nicely. Even some of the lengthier songs that appear on here. I mean, no song is longer than 5 to 5.5 minutes in length, but I really appreciate the pace and the comfort that you pick up when you fly by with this album. And one thing that caught my attention right away upon the first listen is something that may or may not work well for the listener. It may make or break it for the listener of this album, and that is the production. Whereas Let the Devil In had a very good, well-balanced, well-rounded production, Feeding the Crawling Shadows has a bit of a more stripped down, raw, ugly, primal sound to it, and it is not, I repeat, it is not the easiest thing to listen to. I mean, this kind of takes you back to how the old black metal styles used to really sound. It sounded ugly. It sounded as if you really were recording things through a microphone in a silent room. No gloss, no shining moments. This is really, really ugly and dirty and filthy sounding, and it does make for a rough listen. I mean, in some instances, some things show up more than others on this album. Like, say, for example, I hear the guitars very well, but I don't hear the drums quite loud enough. That's the one kind of gripe I have with this particular album. And once again, I stress this is a very rough listen, but if you look past the roughness of this album's production values, I think you're going to get what you would normally expect from Sargeist, and that is some very, very incredible traditional black metal, done as only these guys know how to make it. The guitar, I mentioned the guitar work. It is an absolute blaring kind of guitar sound. The way every riff is being handled, it just sounds like you're listening to authentic black metal. The way the riffs sound on tracks like In Charnel Dreams and Unto the Undead Temple, you have some incredible riff work going on those particular songs. It just sounds great. It's evil. It's twisted sounding. The way these guitar riffs sounds, it just gets heavier and heavier from there. And moving on to the second half of the record, you have tracks like The Shunned Angel and Funerary Descent. Just the way the riffs handle themselves on those tracks sound really, really good. And I think the guitar work here is incredibly phenomenal. Very deep and very evil sounding. The bass tone is very gritty too. It sounds ugly, it sounds nasty, it definitely has a nice vibe within this album's theme and style. Going once again back to the production of this album, you do get the instances where you hear the bass sort of rattle a little bit towards the first half of this album, but I think the bass guitar does a very formidable job of keeping things nice and intact. I mentioned the drums earlier. Now I want to discuss how the drums sound on this album. It's pretty much what you would normally expect when you listen to a black metal release that has a very dirty, unvarnished kind of sound to it. You hear the blast beats sound very good. Just the way the cymbals are mic'd, the snare tone, the occasional fills that you hear every now and then. It's a drum performance that's not meant to be, clean or flashy or over the top. It's a very simplistic kind of drum performance, but yet I think everything is being very well handled here, and it definitely holds your attention throughout the entirety of this album. It is not a boring drum performance. I think it flows brilliantly, I must say. I do wish I could hear the drums a little bit better in this production, but then again, maybe that's what they were trying to accomplish with this album's production style. I just would have liked to have heard the drums a little bit louder. But now we move on to the best part of this entire album, and that to me is Hoth, the vocalist. The vocals are just so frightening. I love this guy's vocal style. He's incredible with Bhaxan and with Sargeist. He continues his warpath as an incredible frontman and vocalist. His deep, bellowing growls are so amazing. I love the growls that he delivers, especially on the opening track. You can hear the torment in his voice, especially when he gets to a more higher evil register. It just sounds scary, and he holds it down very, very well here. Once again, with tracks like Unto the Undead Temple, and then songs like The Unspoken Ones, you get some really, really great vocal performances going on there, and I think this is a very, very well intact vocal performance, very well done lyrically as well. Pretty much what you would expect from a Sargeist release when it comes to the lyrics. Very well handled, and I'm appreciating the attention to detail being done with the lyrics here. So overall, I would say that this album is a somewhat success, albeit in instances it does feel a little bit flawed at times. I mainly accredit this to this album's production style, but then again, maybe that's how they were trying to accomplish it. Maybe they wanted it to sound ugly and unvarnished and unpolished and unclean, Whatever term you want to use for production like that. It is pretty much cult as black metal can be for an album like this. I mean, if you're a fan of what Sargeist have done in the past, you'll feel right at home with this album. I don't think this topped Let the Devil In, but I still think this is another solid release, and I definitely think with time this could be a grower. But for what it is, I consider this album a moderate success, and definitely something worth purchasing if you're a fan of Finnish black metal or what Sargeist have done in the past. If I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say the title track, Unto the Undead Temple, Snares of Impurity, The Shunned Angel, and Kingdom Below. So, again, the album is Feeding the Crawling Shadows by Sargeist. This is released on World Terror Committee. Definitely pick this up if you're into raw black metal. And as far as a score is concerned, for the time being, I'm going to give this a very strong 7 out of 10. This is a very, very good album. Another solid entry into the Sargeist discography. I just wish it had a better production quality to it. I know, even though that's what they could have been going for, I kind of wish some instances it could have benefited from a better production. But for what it is, I think this is a damn good album. So, regardless, support Sargeist. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. And until the next time, Armijo out.